Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here, and welcome back to a new video on the channel. And today, guys, I'm going to be continuing my AFL 2023 three-game match reviews, reviewing the middle three games of round 4 of the 2023 AFL season. Those games were Richmond versus Western Bulldogs, which I was on the stream for, St Kilda versus Gold Coast, and Sydney versus Port Adelaide. Let's go ahead right into things. So yes, I was on stream for this game, great stream. I appreciate everybody that dropped by. It was a great night for the channel. Yeah, that stream was absolutely amazing. But anyway, though, three-game match reviews now. This was a cracking game. And an against-the-odds win for the Western Bulldogs as well after. They just came out and dominated. And the Tigers probably lucky to be in the game and to only lose by 5. As the Dogs, fair to say, probably could have put them away a lot earlier than they did. Inaccuracy probably didn't help them. They kicked like 1 goal 8, something like that at one stage with their last shots. They were pretty disappointing. With the Tigers, though, after having a good quarter, they dropped away in 67 at half-time to go to 84 at full-time, and it got scrappy after the rain set in. But, yeah, it was a very interesting contest. The Dogs by 5 in the end, and they dominated early. Nobody thought the Tigers were going to come back from 30 points down, but they did it. They kicked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goals in a row. 7 of their 8 for the quarter came in that Tigers surge to lead by 14 at half-time. It was a real swing of events. That third quarter, the Dogs are the only side to kick a goal, and they kick a goal in the opening 5 minutes of the term, and then there's no goal for the rest of the term. The Dogs kick 6 behinds, 1 goal 6. The Tigers kick 0-4 that term. So both sides really did have their chances to put the game away there, and I mean, especially the Dogs, they really had opportunities to take the game away, but the Tigers also had some chances to extend their lead out to a couple of goals to be the margin, or even get that up towards 20, 25 points. But in the end, in the last quarter, it is the Dogs, which they did so well at times this game, just winning back areas which were important to win, and comfortably getting it out of the middle. And Richmond didn't go inside 50 too many times. In that last quarter, they kicked 2 goals 1. The Dogs kicked 3 goals 6. And again, probably could have put them away by a bigger margin. Goal in the last 30 seconds for Bolton, but it's not enough as the Dogs hang on for an absolute thrilling win at the G. They're not the greatest of sides there. We know the Tigers are so good there, and it is a cracking upset. 30 disposals for Bailey Dale, 3 goals for Shea Bolton and Aaron Norton. Aaron Norton looked so dangerous and lively when he was near the footy. All their forwards really did have a good look at it. Jamara also looks pretty dangerous when he went near the ball. However, he did have quite a quiet night. 145 fantasy for English, 12 tackles for Bontempelli. Bontempelli also led from the front. He's had a couple of really good weeks. He got the ball out of the middle really easily as well, and he started to try and serve up his forwards. Right, AFL fantasy, 145 for English, 115 for Dale, 114 for Taranto, Liberatore, 108 for Bontempelli, 105 for Rioli, Nankervis, 102 for Cumberland, who was pretty much everywhere as well. 3 goals for Bolton, Norton, 2 goals for Liberatore, Lynch, and English. And then 1 goal 2 for the following: Hopper, Cumberland, Daniel Hannon. There was plenty of players which did have their chances, their fair share of chances. And I mean, both these two sides were in the end reasonably inaccurate. So yeah, I did say that both these two sides did have plenty of chances to put the game away, extend their lead, or peg it back, just make the game a little bit more interesting. But yeah, in the end, the inaccuracy doesn't haunt the Dogs as it did on a couple of occasions last year, we know. But yeah, they were lucky that inaccuracy did not haunt them in this game. 30 disposals for Dale, 29 for Rioli, 27 for Taranto, 25 for Baker, Trelaw, Bontempelli. We'll go to marks now, 8 for Richards. We'll go to tackles, 12 for Bontempelli, who did again lead from the front, 10 for Liberatore, who was everywhere as well, 9 for English, 8 for Taranto. Hit-outs now, 35 for Nankervis, 23 for English, 10 for Ryan, 6 for Lobb, 1 for Norton. Now team stats. The Dogs did go inside 50 plenty more times, 48 to 64. It did live in there at times. The Tigers felt like they didn't go in there enough to benefit their forwards. Clearances, the Doggies won as well, 26 to 41, 8 to 16 centre, 18 to 25 stoppage clearances. Their midfield went to work again in this game. Some of the likes of Bontempelli, Bailey Smith, Tom Liberatore were influential in their win. And this Doggies midfield is back, and even without Dunkley and and Hunter. This midfield is back and rolling for the Western Bulldogs, and if they are going to make finals, that midfield has to be up and rolling. They took 19 more marks. They led for most of the game. This was a cracking game in the end. An absolute cracker. Dogs by 5. Alright, now to the second game in this 3-game match. St Kilda versus Gold Coast at Marvel. And after the Suns beat the Cats last week at Heritage Bank Stadium, they could not do the same heroics this week versus the Saints, who are now 4-0. And it's a big 53-point win as well for the Saints. And this is troublesome for the Suns, who have only got the one win to this point and need to really put forward a finals claim this year. That was a disappointing performance, and the Saints just ran through them too easily in the defence, through the midfield. They've got speed, the Saints. They put it on display today, and it just looked like the Suns could not catch up at times. And it was an even first quarter. In fact, really an even first quarter and a half, but where both sides were in the contest. The Suns, they did have their unluckiness with inaccuracy, which probably could have made them be a lot closer at half-time than what they were. They probably could have been maybe roughly, because they were 22 points down. They probably could have been 10 points down. But in the end, though, in that third quarter, that's just where the Saints just say goodbye. They rocket away. They kick 5 goals to 1. And from there at three-quarter time, it is game over. And in the last quarter, it is 3 goals for the Suns, 4 goals for the Saints to extend their lead out to 53 points. And it's party time for the Saints at the moment. They were just piling on the goals at the end. The only really influential Suns player was Anderson, 38 disposals, 159 fantasy, 10 tackles. Jack Higgins with the 5 goals for the Saints. He's gotten it done a couple of weeks in a row for them now. 159 fantasy for Anderson, 125 for Crouch, 120 for Miller, 115 for Owens, who's an absolute star. 114 for Higgins, 109 for Weller, 107 for Wanganeen, Miller and Marshall, 106 for Wilkie, 103 for Sinclair, 96 for Hill and Wood. So there was plenty of Saints players in there that really did get the job done for him. 5 goals for Higgins, 2 goals for Owens. Caminiti has been a shining light for the Saints as well. 2 goals for him to go with his 9 disposals, 2 tackles. 2 goals as well for Hill. We'll go to the disposals now. 38 for Anderson, 34 for Crouch, 32 for Miller, 31 for Sinclair, 30 for Ross and Weller. We'll go to marks now. 11 for Wilkie and Collins, 10 for Battle, 9 for Howard and Wood. We'll go to the tackles. 10 for Anderson, 8 for Crouch and Miller. Hit out 35 for Moyle. He was the impressive debutant for the Gold Coast Suns. I have also heard that lots of clubs do have their interest around this guy, but after this performance, 74 fantasy, 5 disposals, 35 hit out, 7 tackles. The Suns are going to be keen to keep him, especially after Witts goes out. He still was really impressive without Witts there. 24 fantasy for Marshall, 24 hit outs for Marshall, 11 for Casbolt, 8 for Cordy, 5 for Owens. We'll go to team stats now. And the Saints won disposals by 120. Nearly beat them in handballs by 100, showing that transition. 1 inside 50s, 13 more. Suns won clearances, however, though. 37 to 46 hit outs, 35 to 45 total clearances, 10 to 16 out of centre, 25 to 29 stoppage. So interesting little match fact there that the Suns, despite being absolutely heavily beaten, still did win in the clearance factor. But the Saints' defence is good, though. They can win it back. Had way more uncontested possessions as well. Took way more marks, 117 to 71, 15 to 3 marks inside 50. They led for most of the game. Definitely did deserve the win. They really did open up the Gold Coast Suns to go 4-0 to start the year. An absolute thriller, perhaps the game of the round, really, at the SCG. Nobody thought that Port were even going to contend. I tipped the Swans by 39, and in the end, Port Adelaide win by 2. Sydney 9-10-64, Port Adelaide 9-12-66. This game should have been put away a lot earlier by the Swans, who had their chances. They really should have put them away. They should have won this game by 40 points. They looked like they were on track for that as well when the scores were 27-4 or 29-4. But in the end, it's just a comeback from Port Adelaide. They didn't look. The Swans still did dominate in some key areas for pretty much the whole game, but it was just Port that just scrappily, messily got themselves back into the game. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just got to find a way to win sometimes. And yes, it may not look that great, but finding a way to get those 4 points and win is really important, and that's exactly what Port Adelaide did in this game. After the Swans kicked the first 4 goals, had them under the pump, their pressure was insane. The next 4 goals from Port, they weren't perfect. They They weren't done absolutely perfectly. They weren't the nicest looking goals, but they got through the two big sticks, which is really important. And they come back in the game to be even at half time. The Swans get the jump on them in that third quarter and at the start of the last. But Port Adelaide's ability to come back to win the game was unbelievable. It was a 2-goal turn for the Swans compared to a 4-goal 3-turn from the Power, which was probably one of the biggest high-scoring quarters we'd seen in this game. 33 disposals for Florent, 3 goals for Finlayson, 122 fantasy for Florent, 13 tackles for James Robon. Florent had a chance to win the game after the siren, just didn't quite have the trip, and even in behind wouldn't have gotten the job done for the Swans. It was Port Adelaide with an amazing 2-point win in the end. 122 fantasy for Florent, 109 for Warner, 102 for Finlayson. 3 goals for Finlayson, who did change the game. 2 goals for Warner, who looked really good. 2 goals for McDonald, 1 goal 3 for Papley, 1 goal 2 for Heaney and Powell-Pepper, who had their chances in front of goal, didn't convert in a game where both sides were inaccurate, kicked more behinds than goals. 33 disposal for Florent, 30 for Warner, 27 for Butters, who looked really good. 9 marks for Lloyd, 8 for Finlayson, 7 for Heaney. Tackles, 13 for Rowbottom, 7 for Goulden, 6 for Marshall. Hitouts, 25 for Latham, 17 for Lysette, 9 for Amati, who's starting to make his name. He's a bit of a ruckman / forward. He's come alive a little bit this year. 8 for Dixon, 2 for Finlayson. Now we'll go into team stats. Swans, 67 to 45 inside 50s. That's the domination which they had. They had them in key areas, but Port Adelaide's ability to still just be there. Out of the centre, the Swans won as well, 11 to 9 in clearances, but 25 to 32 stoppage clearances. But the Swans did have Port Adelaide under the pump at times. 9 to 9 marks inside 50. The Swans did lead for most of the game. Well, about a quarter, the Port Adelaide led for the other quarter. It was a very interesting contest in the end, and Port Adelaide, as scrappy or as ugly as it was, still got the job done by 2 in a thriller. Now to Sunday's action of footy on Easter Day, which I'm currently recording this, so happy Easter to everybody that is watching. But yes, today on Easter, Essendon versus GWS, which is probably the pick of the bunch, and then West Coast versus Melbourne, so I reckon this is a really important game for the Giants, though. I think they need to prove a point in this game. I think they've been competitive in most of their games this year, but yeah, away from home they did lose to the Eagles a couple of weeks ago. They need to prove a point against a very good Bombers side, who have looked very good all year, and they'd love a win here. And then Easter Monday, we know Cats Hawks should be a absolute big game at the MCG. The Cats lose, they go on 4, and that would have all sorts of consequences on their season. Current ladder, and it is the Saints on top of the table. They are 4-0. The Blues are also undefeated at this stage, but the reason why they're not on 16 points is because of that draw with the Tigers in round number 1. And then here is the rest of the ladder at the moment. So I'll just, you guys can have a little look at that. But yeah, that's going to wrap up today's video. Alright, thank you guys. It was so much watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. See you guys and then miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys. It was so much. Subscribe, everyone. Flaming Footy out.